Lewa, why Lewa? Back in 2001, during Bionicle's original run, Lewa wasn't the most popular Toa. By far, that was either Tahu or Kopaka. However, Lewa had a lot of great things about him. He was a great character, even though storyline-wise, they kind of screwed him over. He was the only Toa to wear an infected mask, not by his own willing. He was the only Toa to wear a Krana, and when it came down to the Fantoka series, his Nuva mask was basically useless, because due to the adaptive armor, all the Toa had the ability of flight. Plus, would you look at these feet? He's the only character to ever use these feet in Bionicle's run, and they're just bizarre. They're like snowshoe boots. It's really weird. In the new reboot for 2015 and 2016 so far, 2015's Lewa was a great homage to the original Lewa and to Lewa Nuva, featuring a mask that was very similar to the original Lewa mask, while also retaining some kind of motorcycle bike elements, kind of similar to the Fantoka Lewa, which I really liked. Lewa also had a separate function, the adrenaline mode, which, seen here, greatly resembled what Lewa Nuva's action feature. While I wasn't a big fan of Protector of Jungle that also came out in 2015, I kind of wanted to use some of the parts in MASH with the 2015 Lewa. That's why I ended up with this combo model here. As you can see, I don't really use that much, but I took off the blades, the handles the handles and the katanas of the Lewa from 2015, replacing them with the energy blades of Vizuna, the Protector of Jungle. And I also added the sensor tails. I don't know why they have tails on their feet, but for some reason the Protector of Jungle does. This combo model, or at least what I'm referring to as a combo model, is good. It's not perfect, but the problem with the 2015 Lewa is, despite being a Toa of Jungle, doesn't really feel jungly. In fact, with the fact that he can glide and the fact that in the animations he's pretty much always flying, he really feels more like a Toa of air than he ever did. Unfortunately, 2016's Lewa wasn't that much better off for him. Taking away the Keat Orange, or replacing it with a lot more silver and trans yellow-green, 2016 Lewas kind of took away some of the jungly elements. The new Lewa was essentially just a silver and green robot who had these massive swords, and I mean massive, taking up almost the entire height of Lewa himself. In fact, the fact that these large blades could spin around, and the fact that, according to the Journey to One animations, the crystal blades were essentially kind of like lightsabers, draws the Tonfa lightsaber comparison to a popular meme that came out with the 7th Star Wars movie. So, how do we improve Lewa? I mean, he's been infected, Kronad, and had his mind invaded by Tren Krom. I don't know, I was looking forward to Lewa the least, which is why I'm doing Lewa first in this new series where I combine the 2015 Masters with the 2016 Uniters. So without further ado, let's get started with Lewa. Because Lewa is so agile and free, I really wanted to start off with his legs. After all, if you're leaping from tree to tree, you should be able to have a really good footing. So comparing the 2015 Lewa to the 2016 Lewa, I'll be honest, I really don't like either one, and the silver boots, I guess you could call them, aren't really impressive either. Looking through my CCBS collection, I did have these two green boots from the Hero Factory 2.0 wave, but as you can see, these are way too light green to go with Lewa's color scheme. I would either have to completely incorporate the light green into the color scheme other than the use of the tail sensors, or just not use them at all, so I guess I'm going to have to settle. Now, the problem with 2016's Lewa is that it's too custom. Basically, the entire shin is a custom build. This makes the knee really awkward to pose because of his basically these giant knobby knees, and because of the friction adder they used to hold the Glatorian necks in place. The ankles are super stiff. This makes it a bear to try to pose these Lewa legs. The legs aren't really changed too much, however, I'm deciding to kind of copy the design of 2016's and put these shell pieces on the side. This kind of gives Lewa a little bit of a look like he has kind of chaps when connected to his torso. However, the sides of the legs I'm not a big fan of either. I'm going to leave the sensor tails from Vizuna on and detach these two pieces here. I'm taking these two armor pieces from Vizuna, the Protector of Jungle, and putting them on there, and as you can see, we already have a lot more of an elemental look. I also really wanted to incorporate the crystal armor into Lewa's shoulders, or his knees. Incorporate the crystal armor into either Lewa's knees or his shoulders. Unfortunately, Lewa only comes with 2 of these pieces for his 2016 set. You could try, if you want to put them on the knees, placing them like this. I think that looks rather good. While this is technically a slightly different shade of the trans apple green, I think that looks good. Or, if you want to be a little more like 2016 Pohatu, you could always switch the pieces around entirely. With the pieces arranged like this, it looks like the energy coming from the crystal armor is kind of leaking into Lewa's body. It also meshes a lot better, and it kind of makes it look, I don't know, kind of more whole. It's not perfect, but I like the way this looks. These other 2 legs I really don't need. Once again, the problem with 2016 Lewa's arms is similar to the legs. They made them a little too custom. By using these, I guess you could originally call them the original series hands, these connector pieces, as shoulder ball sockets, the arms are extremely stiff and you can't really get a good range of posability out of them. I think the 2016 weapons are way too large, despite the fact that they are basically kind of like laser tonfas, which is pretty neat. However, I do like this little hook piece using the Borak eye. It adds a little bit more of that apple green, which is Lewa's elemental color, so depending on how I use the weapons, I may choose to incorporate that. 2015 Lewa isn't perfect, however, his arms allow for a much wider range of motion because it leaves the ball joint open. His arms are extremely long though, using 2 bone pieces that have double holes for the wrists. This is kinda weird, but is excusable because it does allow you to mount Lewa's weapons on the back of his arms, a feature I really like because, well, storing weapons when they're not in use is really nice. If you need a free hand, you shouldn't have to drop your weapon right in the middle of everywhere. You should just be able to stash it behind you, either on your back or on your shoulders or on your arm or something, and be able to have free hands to use whatever you need it for. Like with the legs, I'm going to switch out the Keytorange with 2 of Vizuna's apple green pieces. There we go. That looks really nice. It fits Lewa's element really well. I like the way that looks. One idea I like for the arm that works really well and is not nearly as bulky, and putting the blade on the gray extender piece. On this one, by simply angling the piece so that the axle and the hilt of the blade goes between the connector, you can see that it kind of angles itself, giving him kind of like a wing blade look. When you want to use it for its intended purpose, just simply pop it off and put it in the hand however you want to hold it. While having the yellow eye stalk is more traditional to the original design of Lewa, I don't like the long brain stalk. It is rather flimsy and easy to knock the mask off. On the other side, one thing I actually do like about the 2016 Lewa is that not only does this short eye stalk make it a lot easier to have a head and make it look good, but the blue eyes on Lewa kind of give him a youthful innocence. They make him look younger and more energetic. At least that's my opinion. So I'm definitely going to go with the blue-eyed head. Comparing the masks, however, is, well, kind of difficult. I really actually like both Lewa masks. In fact, I think the two Lewa masks are the strongest thing about both Lewa sets. Unfortunately, I cannot decide right now, though technically the Uniter head is far more jungly because it looks more organic. However, I really like 2015 Lewa as well because it harkens back to not only the Fantoka Lewa but the 2001 Lewa. I'm going to put both masks aside and decide which one I'm going to use based on how it looks on the finished figure. The best thing about the 2015 torso armor is it incorporates Lewa's color scheme quite well, including the light green, a little bit of yellow, and the large green torso piece. The print on the 2016 Lewa is really nice. It's a nice print, and I kind of wish I could convert this print over to that chest piece, or maybe put this chest piece on here. The inclusion of the Nuva symbol right in the middle is really nice, and I kind of like the flare on the sides because it goes with his jungly flying theme. Unfortunately, it's a big blob of silver gray, and I'd rather have a smaller blob of silver gray that incorporates the colors in kind of a jungly tribal pattern. It's not amazing, but it kind of looks a little bit like a parrot. I'm going to go with the 2015 Lewa as the chest piece we will use. By now you're probably noticing that I'm favoring a lot more of the 2015 design over the 2016 design, and I really don't like the 2016 design. Other than the inclusion of the waist function, which is kind of nice, and the mask and the crystal blades. However, I do like the inclusion of the Borak eyes along the body. I think that's a nice feature. I just don't like these shoulders because, as you can see, not only are they extremely narrow, giving about one space in between, but they also angle backwards, making it for really awkward positions. On the other side, the 2015 Lewa functions a little bit better. However, it does have these large blade pieces which reduce its posability. Some features I definitely want to keep for the torso piece were the waist articulation if I can, as well as the 2015 gearbox. I don't really want to use the piece of Unity, that's just my personal preference. However, I want to include the various green Borak eye pieces if I can. I'm not going to include my experimentation with different pieces on camera because I feel this is going to take the longest. Okay, after about half an hour, I think I actually have a pretty good custom torso. Now, in order to make the custom torso, you basically need all of this from the 2016 figure, as well as keeping that little bit of back armor. I really like that. Basically, the 2015 gearbox is almost completely unedited. I think there may be a slight differentiation in maybe the gear a little bit. I don't remember, but it's pretty darn close to the original model. The only real thing I did was remove these two big shoulder blade pieces because while these are extremely cumbersome and they cut off a lot of neck articulation. The only thing I added was these 3 long blue pins, a circular pin bushing, and I got a few 2 long red pins for all these Borak eyes. I actually end up using all 6 Borak eyes from 2016's model in this. In order to assemble the model, I put the 2 long black pin that comes in, well, actually either set. There's a bunch of them actually. You can use 1 or 2 or however many you need. I put one at the top of the gearbox. I have a second one, and I pull a second 3 long pin and I push it through the gearbox. Now, before I attach the gearbox in, I'm going to take one of the Borak eye pieces and plug on each side and plug one in on each side to the back of the 2016 torso. This isn't a perfect system of displaying these, but I kind of like how it looks once you add the armor. Now you also have a nice little shelf to place your gearbox over to ensure that you put it on the right height. As you can see, I then take my other 3 long plug put that in, add in our separator, or our bushing, I guess you could call it, just for a little bit of color consistency and so we don't have a giant spot of blue. And I put the 2016's back armor over it. Now we have a little bit of blue, but we have the green that goes with Lewa as well as the trans green. To finish it off, I want to kind of do something similar to the set pieces for 2015. I kind of like the shape of this piece, but it's too big and cumbersome. So I'm using 2 Borak eyes as kind of like these little hooks over the shoulders. They're very reminiscent of the 2015 ones, but a lot shorter. Now, if the red pins on the back and on the shoulders and, well, on the hands bother you, just replace them with 2 long black pins. They're fairly common in the original Bionicle series, so if you have any LEGO Technic sets from before 2015, you should have a plethora of them. So to put it all together, we have our Lewa legs that incorporate the crystal armor and some trans-green pieces from Vizuna, as well as the sensor tails. I really like the way this looks because it makes it look like the crystal is spilling energy into Lewa's legs. This travels up from the legs and goes straight into the torso with the inclusion of not 1, not 2, but 6 Borak eyes all over the torso, 2 up on the shoulders, 2 and 4 on the back to make some really kind of crystalline, almost slime-like back armor. I really like the way that this torso piece is built, as it does allow for both the gear function of 2015 Lewa, as well as the torso function of 2016. It's not perfect, but I like the way this looks as it incorporates both models. Attaching the new arms we have gives even more of that kind of that crystalline energy with more trans green on the upper arms, as well as a trans green Borak eye in the hand as kind of an energy spike. If you don't like the way the red pins look, again, you can just switch them out with the black 2-length pins. That should solve the issue. Now, on the back of the arms here, as you can see, I have the crystal energy blades included with 2016 Lewa. This kind of gives him a wing, kind of a mini wing look, and when you want to have it be a weapon, you simply detach them from these extender pieces, and you can put them in the hands. Now, if you're familiar with Star Wars, similar to how the character of Ahsoka holds her lightsabers backwards, I think it personally makes more sense for Lewa to hold his crystal energy blades with the blade facing backwards, because I feel he'd be a lot more spinning, swinging the swords. I think that makes a lot more sense for him. However, if that doesn't match how you imagine Lewa, you could always go with how the character holds his axes, or how the original Lewa held his katanas and have the blade going forward with a spiked pommel. To finish it up, we take 2015 Lewa's chest piece and we attach that right on the ball, giving him a giant splash of green and a little bit of that tribal look that goes with all these lovely Borak eyes and trans green pieces. I think that looks really well, and from the side view, it blends in well with the Borak eyes, almost looking like it it connects with the piece. Then he has just a smaller piece of armor on the back, almost kind of like a strap or a clip. The real problem comes down to the mask. Now there's some silver on here. He's got silver in his blades, silver on the chest, silver in the hands, as well as the knees because of the crystal armor, and the feet. So you could choose to include 2016 Lewas, or 2015. It's worth mentioning that by including the Borak eyes now as the shoulder armor with these pieces, it kind of resembles the weapons used for 2016 Lewa, as if he has the handles just stashed on his back. I originally showed these over on the piece from Journey to One, but it looks like he's stashing them there and he just has the blades attached to the back of his arm, so it kind of is a nod to continuity, if that's your thing. Mask-wise, by including 2015 Lewa's mask, it just kind of looks like an upgrade. The entire thing kind of looks almost as if you're simply giving Lewa some new armor, new weapons, and a couple slightly different colored pieces, switching out the peach orange or mustard yellow piece for the apple green trans pieces. It looks fine, but it's really up to you. However, like I mentioned before, I really like 2016's mask. Including the 2016 mask definitely feels a lot more like Lewa, in my opinion. It has a more organic look to it, kind of looking more, at least with this scheme, it looks more like the original Lewa, and the silver goes with the other silver accents on him, such as his feet, his knees, his hands, the blades, and the chest. Silver is used more of an accent color. Plus, we got rid of the Nuva symbol on the chest, and so instead we have the Nuva symbol on the mask. I personally think this Lewa is a good amalgamation of both 2015 and 2016 models, so hopefully you will think the same. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and until next time, I'm Metagross Freak,